What's up, guys? Welcome to our video of our top 10 power forwards in the NBA heading into this upcoming 2021-2022 season. Like we did with our centers video, make sure you go check that out. We each have a list of who we think are the top 10 NBA power forwards in the league. So, you don't have any honorable mentions for this.
No, I don't.
I do. So I'll start with my honorable mention, and then you can start at number 10 here. Yeah, so my honorable mention here is Jaren Jackson Jr. I really wanted to put him on this list, but given the fact that he didn't play a whole lot last year, and it was his sophomore year, so we really only had one season, which was a great season, and I think was worthy of top 10 consideration.
Yeah.
I can't put him on here yet, but I think he has potential to climb. I think he has the potential to be a top 5 at his prime in his career at power forward. So we'll see. He's not on my list this year, but
well, that's who I have at 10, and
that's who you have at 10.
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe I took a little bit of a gamble here. I like his play all around good. He's only 21, so like you said, he's definitely going to climb up this list. You would hope at least. But who do you have at 10?
At 10, I have John Collins.
Okay.
And John Collins, I think he was probably the second best player on the floor.
Generally.
Consistently. Yeah. I mean, Kevin Huerter had his games. Bogdanovich had his games. But I think he was...
in that big three.
Clint Capella had his names too. It's really a big three between Capella,
John Collins and Trae Young. With John Collins being that 2 spot.
Yeah. So I think John Collins' career is only going to get better now that he's signed that extension to stay on in Atlanta long term.
There's stability in Atlanta too.
Yeah. And I think it's a great place for bigs to play as well. Not all the environments are.
Yeah.
So John Collins is at my 10. So
okay.
Who do you have at 9?
I have 9, and I may be a little hard on him, especially being in Toronto. Expect more out of Pascal Siakam.
That is also who I have at 9.
Yeah, just a rough season, and it's been rough for him since that championship squad.
Yeah.
You want to see more out of him, and he can climb this list, but for now, this is as low as I'd have him.
Okay.
What about you? What are your thoughts on this pick?
He was definitely higher at one point.
Yeah.
In their championship runs.
Yeah.
So
I think having him at the 1 spot on that team has really hurt his play.
Yeah.
He's definitely second or even third fiddle kind of player.
Yeah, and that's when you saw him thrive, when he was playing behind Kyle Lowry, when he was playing behind Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
Now Kyle Lowry's gone, so there's not even that consistency there. There still is Fred VanVleet, who is a rising star himself.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of get the right mojo in order to, because it's really a mindset thing with him. As last year it probably didn't help that they were playing in Tampa, an unfamiliar environment.
Yep.
But he was butting heads with Nick Nurse, just butting heads with everyone. It didn't look like he was trying most nights. So we'll see. I think it's a mental thing with him.
It was tough all around for Toronto. So in a bounce back, he should rise.
Yeah. But raw skill, he could challenge a top 5 spot.
Yep. Now at number 8, I have Tobias Harris.
I also have Tobias Harris at number 8.
All right.
We did not coordinate beforehand.
No, we did not.
It's just by chance.
Yeah, the big one for me is he's been a staple on that Philadelphia team. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but he's been consistent with them and helping them in their playoff runs. No matter who's come in and who's left, he's been there for him. Why do you have him at 8?
Same reasons there is, especially... There was a lot of talk about the Sixers' play this postseason.
Yeah, of course.
He was consistent in the regular season, and it's just overall consistency. He was a guy that you could, especially in that Atlanta series, he was a guy that you could rely on to get buckets.
His job.
He could shoot. He can drive the net there. He's a very versatile power forward there.
Yep.
A smooth player. So I like his skill set. I think he's an underrated guy. I definitely think that before Ben Simmons became Ben Simmons, they really did have a big 3 there, and they really had a legitimate title shot.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust now that Ben Simmons might be gone, and what sort of role he takes on now that he'll probably have to be a number 2 on that team.
Yeah, and that may not be ideal, but again, we'll see how that all plays out. At 7, I have John Collins, who you already mentioned.
Okay.
Again, I'm big on him, especially the play he had in Atlanta this postseason. he really rose up this list. Before that, yeah, he probably would have been at that 10-9 spot for me, but I'm high on John Collins right now.
And I think it's just an age thing with John Collins for me.
Yeah.
I want to see more, and I think he really came into it. This was the first season he really came into his own. So I think if he comes into his own next year, yeah, for sure he could be 7, 6, somewhere in that range there.
Yeah, who do you have at 7?
I have Julius Randle.
Okay.
And this was Julius Randle's breakout year. The year he had was definitely top 5, maybe even top 3 amongst power forwards.
Yeah.
Definitely a dark horse for the MVP this year. Mm-hmm. But again, everything went right for the Knicks this year.
Yes.
And I'm worried that that's what's going to be the explanation for Julius Randle this year.
Come playoff time, he was quiet.
Yeah.
So.
I hope he can continue this trend, because I think Julius Randle, he is really a true power forward in terms of he's big, he gets those gritty baskets there, but he also can step outside and shoot. So
yeah,
like Tobias Harris, a very versatile power forward.
Yep. At 6, I have Domantas Sabonis.
Okay.
Really the only stable thing in Indiana right now. The guy that's kind of carrying the load. He could have been higher for me.
Yeah.
But he just the guys ahead of him are, in my opinion, are stars for the most part, or they've proven to be stars, where he's kind of stepping into that.
So that's a little lower than I'd put him.
Okay.
It's a little lower than I'd put him, and we'll get to that when I get to him here.
Yeah. Who do you have at 6?
Number 6, I have Draymond Green.
Okay.
Yeah, and Draymond Green, of course, a lot of these guys on here that we're going to list, the primary scorers on their team, or at least 1 or 2 options. That is not Draymond Green.
No.
But Draymond Green's playmaking ability is unmatched for his size and his defensive ability. He's arguably, you could say that he's a top 5, top 10 defender in the league. I definitely put him in the top 5. I think he very well on this list. He's the best defensive power forward in the league right now.
Yes.
And his defense is unmatched. He's won multiple defensive player of the year. Crucial part to the Warriors' success.
Yeah, of course.
You can't blame their shortcomings on Draymond Green.
No, it's been a mix of injuries and just lack of depth.
But when he's on the floor, he really makes Steph Curry into Steph Curry, because he's the one carrying the ball up. He's the one running the offense, which has really taken a lot of pressure off Steph Curry to worry about shooting now and worry about his primary scoring game.
Yeah.
I just think Draymond Green's one of the only guys that can get a triple-double and not do it with points.
Yeah.
That's what makes him so impressive. And I think his glue skills, he's the glue guy, and I think that's unmatched.
I left him off my list.
Okay.
The big thing was scoring, and he's a great second option. For the most part, most of these guys I have here, you can argue to be first options, but Draymond would never be that guy.
Okay.
But I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And that's still a good pick. But at 5, I have Julius Randle, and this may be a bit high, especially if he continues to play like he did in the playoffs.
I wanted to put him in this range, but I couldn't argue it.
So he can be a superstar. He has that potential, but it's whether or not he's consistent enough to do so.
Yeah.
So begrudgingly, I had him over Domantas Sabonis just because he had a ridiculous season, and I want to give him props for that, but he can fall.
Yeah.
Who do you have at 5?
At 5, I have Zion Williamson.
Okay.
And again, Zion Williamson is a guy that very well could be number 1 at this list eventually. He has loads of potential. Doesn't help that he's playing in New Orleans, a situation that he doesn't necessarily want to be in.
Yep.
But Zion Williamson was a snub for the All-NBA teams this year.
Yep.
Zion Williamson is an absolute monster. He may be undersized in terms of height, but he's built like a linebacker. It's really hard to stop him.
Yeah.
His vertical is ridiculous. He beats you up in the air. I think if he develops more of a shooting game, that'll definitely make him... It'll give him the versatility that guys like Tobias Harris have.
Yep.
But he does the one thing so well, and that's playing in the paint.
Yeah.
That I think that alone deserves to get him number 5. Great defensive player, so definitely a top 5 talent. I can't argue him over the top 4 though that I have.
He's like a small version of Shaq.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's totally good to have him at 5. At 4, that's where I have Zion.
Okay.
For all the reasons you just said. Who do you have at 4?
At 4, this is where I have Domantas Sabonis. And I wanted to put Domantas Sabonis in the top 3 because I think the season he just had, he certainly deserves it. There's a particular guy in my top 3 that I would have switched out for him. But Domantas Sabonis has been the guy. It's been him and Malcolm Brogdon have been really the glue in Indiana, but he's been the leader of this team. Again, a guy that can put up double-doubles, even triple-doubles too. He's a crafty power forward, not necessarily a big shooting power forward like some of these other, like the more modern power forwards are.
Yeah.
But he has the type of game that he plays like his dad. He's a little slimmer than Arvydas was, but definitely a force inside. Definitely, it's almost the Nikola Jokic factor.
I was just going to say that he's like a light version of Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, you never know. He's very versatile, very crafty, and unpredictable. So he's a hard guy to defend.
Yeah.
But yeah, an absolute force in the paint.
Yep. And I'm going to assume at 3 we both have Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis I wanted to move to 4 just because of the consistent injuries that he faces.
But when he's on the court,
that's the thing. I look back to 2020 and that dominant championship run they had.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see in that Phoenix series this year how much they missed not having him on the floor. Because when he was on the floor, the Lakers were up 2-1 in that series.
Yep.
So it's one of those things that skill alone.
When you see him, he's an absolute beast, and a lot of nights he's going to be the best player on the court, and that includes having LeBron.
But the issue that I have with Anthony Davis, I think this is the last year that anyone can consider him a top 3 power forward if he's not going to stay healthy.
Yeah.
I don't think you can keep arguing him top 3 but when he's on the court, you have to be on the floor. Then you can't be street clothes Davis like Charles Barkley calls him. So
the reality is, even skill wise, Williamson, Sabonis, and if Randle can keep it up, those are guys who are gunning for a spot at 3.
Yeah.
Now 2 and 1, it's pretty tough for me. I have Giannis at 2, which I'm assuming you don't.
I do not.
Who do you have at 2?
I have Kevin Durant at 2.
Now I have Kevin Durant at 1.
Okay.
And you have Giannis at, I'm assuming, 1.
Kevin Durant was a big toe away from being number 1, as it really was. Whoever won that Bucks-Nets series was going to be the best player in the league.
What I look at is the help. Kevin Durant did what he did single-handedly.
Yeah.
Milwaukee still had Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton.
But Giannis put up historic numbers in the finals. And that's the thing. Even with the help, he was just exceeding the fact that they would have won if he didn't. Because they were handling the Suns. After the first 2 games they dropped, they absolutely handled them the last 4. And it's because Giannis was putting up these historic numbers. Didn't matter what the help did. And I have a lot of respect for Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. But
at that point, they didn't need him. But it would have been the same story for Brooklyn.
Yeah, true.
They wouldn't have been able to stop Kevin Durant.
No.
And you go back to our video where we ranked the top 10 players in the NBA during the playoffs. So our top 10 MVPs.
Yeah.
I think we both had Durant 1, and Giannis, you had him lower than I did, but I don't think Giannis cracked my top 5 simply because he couldn't shoot and he wasn't a consistent offensive threat. Yeah. Now, that's the beginning portion of the playoffs. He gets injured, comes back, and he's like a whole new player.
Yeah.
But when I look at it going into any season, when there's an unknown and you don't know what to expect, I think Kevin Durant's more dangerous because he has so many offensive weapons.
Yeah.
He will go down as the toughest offensive player to guard.
Kevin Durant will go down as the greatest offensive player of all time. And I feel very confident in saying that. He may not score the most points. He may not reach what Kareem or Karl Malone has done.
Or LeBron, but his arsenal just...
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But the issue I have with that is Giannis offensively, he may not have the most... He may not be the craftiest offensive player, but he can still... You can't stop him. He can still put up 50. Yeah. And it's the defense that gets it for me. Yeah. This guy has won Defensive Player of the Year before.
Yep.
And it's the fact that you can't stop him on offense, and he will stop you on defense. Whereas Kevin Durant... I'm not saying Kevin Durant's a bad defender by any means. He is an above-average defender, but he's not known for that. Yeah. No one really is Giannis on this list. No. And I think when you pair everything together, Giannis is a more complete all-around player, even though Kevin Durant is a more complete offensive player.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not saying that Kevin Durant is the wrong pick, but again, if Kevin Durant wins that series, Kevin Durant is easily
the best player in the NBA.
Easily the best player in the NBA.
Yeah, it's a tough pick.
It came down to a big toe. It's a big toe is what kept Kevin Durant away from being the best player in the NBA and the best power forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to Kevin Durant here because again, he did what he did on his own against Milwaukee, and that was the series. Durant was the better player throughout that series,
and that
was the decider for me.
It's not a bad pick.
Yeah,
I think Kevin Durant is great, but it's just I just disagree with the pick. So.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
So that's going to do it for our lists of top 10 power forwards in the NBA. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, give it a like down below. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our other uploads. Comment down below what you think of our lists and who you would have in your top 10 power forwards list. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Peace.